Hey everyone, I am going like a crazy man today. I just got off another presentation. Appreciate everybody's patience. We'll get through a lot of stuff. It was making me crazy not being live this morning. So anyway, I literally just got off a call, so I just want to come on. I'll put the futures up so you guys can watch for a few minutes. And yeah, Steve, I like that idea. Jason can take over. That would be awesome. Anyway, yeah, let's just get everybody get the room filled up. We got about 140 folks. We'll do some things, and I've got a tool up. Got to get some Runa. Got to get some other items and stuff like that, and a whole lot to talk about today with this crazy action that we're seeing. So I'll be back in just a few minutes, folks. Hang in there, folks. Be there in just a sec. 2 minutes, folks. We got about 400 of us hanging around. I'll be right there. Okay, I just finished unloading the Runa truck. Jason was right. That's what I was doing. Anyway, this only had 8 cases on today's delivery. All right, let's get to work, folks. A lot going on here. Down 102 on the futures right now. Down 3%. And this is blowing through all the STX numbers, all of this stuff. We're seeing some crazy volatility again. And of course, as I mentioned in last night's video, I know that the thumbnail was talking about Bitcoin going up to 23K, which I still think is the case. But I also mentioned that we had an RXT sell both weekly and daily that we see a couple weeks down. So these are opportunities that are being created, and we'll go through all this here shortly. The plan for today, the plan for today's live stream is going to be, we'll spend and focus this hour on what's going on in the markets, and then once it closes, I'll spend another hour. I haven't had a chance to look at the markets much in the last hour and a half, which was kind of disappointing. I had to speak to an institutional group here on a virtual summit, and I just literally finished, got this thing lit up, and here we are. So I think where I want to start is some of the things we've been talking about, and we'll go over to the chart here as far as the daily grid got blown out literally on the open. We opened sharply lower, saw this thing really coming apart last night, and you know, it was obvious that we were going to go down to this 32 handle, and we keep going down. Now we had a low today on SPX at 32.79, and we have to go to the weeklies, and I've been talking about this for I'm going to go with the last 2 weeks or so, is that I thought we would go to the 21-week moving average. I made a comment on a video or maybe on a live stream. Everything kind of blends together anymore. But, you know, a lot of times I'll say, hey, we're going to go to the 21 period moving average. And then in like the next 3 days, 5 days, 8 days, and it does it the next day. And that's exactly what we're seeing here right now. And, you know, we're through the weekly grid. We've got to go to the next level to even hope to find anything, as we are at the end of the month. Now we go to the monthly grid, and I'll get off screen here in just a second. But if we go to the monthly grid, now we're finally seeing something that makes some sense. Let me get off screen so we can get a nice view of what's going on. The monthly grid all of a sudden is where the play is here. S2 32.31, the low's been 32.79, so S1 33.01. So we took that out a bit ago. We'll see if we can rebound back in here. I think there's a good chance that we're going to get a little bit of a bounce here, but this is going to be difficult. And I reach out in case any of you are TradeStation users, and I don't know that there's a way to bring up Ether on here. If there is, if you guys know the symbol, that would be awesome. As far as I know, Bitcoin's on here. I don't know what else is on here. So if you guys know that, that would be it. But yeah, so we got to go all the way, and that's why when we put the market grid out, we go daily, weekly, monthly. When things get crazy like this, you've got to go and look at this monthly grid here, and you can see, like I said, S1 33.01. It's through that. We're working on S2. Whether that can be printed or not is going to be hard to see from the standpoint of this kind of volatility. I think once we get everything updated, markets closed today, we get some new stuff going. Then we're going to see exactly what's likely to happen here, because we're finishing off a month, right? Today's the 28th. So we're finishing off this month. We're actually lower. Last month we closed at, last month's close was, make sure I get the right number here, 33.63. Here we are at 32.88. Looks like we're going to try to go out lower, and we're continuing to trade in this, you know, it's funny, the trolls are coming out right now and telling me about my sideways range. Well, if you recall, this is within the context of the ABC that I've been talking about. We'll go through some of these details here, and then what I want to do is really focus in on the final hour of or the final 15 minutes. We'll pay attention just to the E-minis and how they're trading, all that kind of stuff. That's going to be where we'll focus at as we come into the close. But for right now, we'll just continue to unpack some of these things. I'm going to clean up some of these charts since the market grid's blowing up here on a daily. Let's just clean it up. You see, we also got the big gap down. Let's draw in some patterns here so we can see exactly what's going on. So this is the pattern been talking about for months, actually, since September lows. This was the A down. This is the B, top of the B. We got a very short, and now this is the ABC down. Been talking about this since we printed up in early October that we would see this market start to trade down into this pattern. And you know, it's doing in true to form as far as a C wave goes. They're always very aggressive, and you know, we're getting this gap down, so we're going to definitely have some move on the upside and everything go, and you know, all of that stuff that's going on. But look at the PPMs here, minus 0.58, minus 0.6. I talked about this last night, and I'm going to show you something in the I wish instead of doing the Bitcoin thumbnail last night that we would have went. I was looking at my notes. The other one is database dumps. That was the other headline for last night that I was looking at. We got almost 5,000 sell signals. This thing rolled over. There was an S&P trade that exited on the opening print this morning. All of this stuff is just gone. It's out. We're down to back to 28% bullish again. I suspect we'll see more liquidation tonight, moving down below that 22%. I'll talk about this after the close, but I just want to lay out this pattern that we're seeing here. And now I'm just going to go over to the weekly. We're going to stick with the S&P for the moment. And this is what I've been talking about, is the ABC would go down to the 21 period moving average. And here we are. But now the 21 is losing all of its momentum. PPM 1, minus 0.32. That's in trend level on an intermediate weekly basis. So we now have a short-term downtrend. Major resistance, 33.95, 3,400. That's going to be the big number. I remember how it's interesting. I absolutely love this channel. I love doing these. I learned so much from you folks. It's very helpful. And I love the interaction and everything that is going on here. But the 21 period moving average is stop number 1. We could go as low, and I mentioned this in last night's video, we could see the 200-day moving average. Now this is a weekly, so we'll go to that in a minute, but they're similar in numbers actually. So we could see this thing completely go down to the 200 week, 200-day moving average, and it could get quite ugly here, especially with the PPM2 rolling over and cutting through its first and second derivative. I wish I had, I'm just going to draw some arrows on here so I can point to what I'm talking about here, make sure everybody is understanding the things that I'm looking at here. But here is PPM1 down below both these first and second derivatives. PPM2 doing the same thing. PPM3 is doing the same thing. When this stuff happens simultaneously, it's a big event. And so, like I said, the lows that we printed in September are going to be in play. But the action that we're going to see over the next several days is going to be really very important. You know, I love all the analogies that going on out there, especially around the election and everything. So, you know, I knew we were going to get plenty of activity this week. We certainly have gotten it, and there's a lot of elements here as far as volatility that's going to continue to drive these markets. I've been saying this in commentary, daily commentary in the videos every night, that we're not going to see a new high in this market for a while. I don't think we're going to see a major collapse, but we could start to. We're going to explore here in just a minute. Hey Jeffrey, I'm just seeing your comment up here. Is that for TradeStation, that ETCG? I'll look for your comment on that. But thanks for that. But yeah, so all of these patterns that we're going to start to see are going to get very dramatic here in the next couple months. Regardless of what your opinion is on the election, who you're voting for, anything, all this stuff is absolutely going to be completely crazy. So, you know, so the question is, okay, awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it, man. I'll test that out. Is there a dollar sign on that thing? Why not a major collapse? It could happen. You know, our databases will work its way to protect the assets. Like I said, let me flop that over on screen here so you can see this. Last night, 4,300 sell orders on 1.2, 3.2, 476. So we get 4,700 sell signals last night. And so, you know, I guess we could get a major collapse. Maybe I shouldn't say that. So I appreciate you. Why not asking that question and that's absolutely a valid question. So I just don't. One of the reasons why, and we'll explore that right here, is that right now there is support down at these levels. But let's go to the next level and let's go to that monthly chart. Now, monthly moving averages. The first support, which the 10, and I've talked about this a lot, so I just need to remind everybody that the shortest moving average on the monthly is somewhat equal. That's a quant term, somewhat, which means similar to the 40-week moving average. So you can see here the 10-month moving average is 31.25. When I flip this over to a weekly, you'll see the 40-week moving average is 31.20. So somewhat or similar, right? Okay, so that so you folks understand some of it. Sometimes I start throwing some quant language out there, but that somewhat means similar to. And if we go back to the monthly, the other thing that we're going to see is the PPMs, and this is why I don't think there's a major collapse coming. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about that. And so we're seeing interesting actually this is, we can spend a few minutes here. It's what, 12? It's 26. We got about 35 minutes to the close. Let's just spend a few minutes talking about this. And man, I tell you, I wanted to be hanging out with you folks an hour and a half ago. I was very anxious this morning. So I hate it. I almost went live early this morning and came back, and then it was just too much going on to do that. Yeah, Gino, I agree with you, man. I really do. But listen, this is once again, this is algorithm driven. Now we're seeing a decent rally back. We're back to 32.99. It looks like we're going to print 33, back over 33. At 33.01 is going to be a key number. But as we look at this monthly graph, last month we almost had a key reversal. You folks may remember that. I know I've seen a lot of common names and people hang around the channel, and we had this outside bar. And we needed to close. We closed last month at 33.63. You folks may remember this number, but 33.20 was the magic number on the month of September. If we'd have closed below that, would have been an outside reversal, would have told us that we were going to collapse down into these moving averages that we're looking at here. What we got was an outside bar, neutral close. What we got this month is an inside bar, okay? And I'm gonna point out some of these things. I'm hoping that my magnifying tool will be an ally here this morning. And so I'm going to bring this over a couple places. All right. So in this inside here, the bar that I have there, you'll see we had this inside bar and it held. So the last time we had a pattern that looked like this was back in 2018 on a monthly basis, and we saw an upslope, and it still looks to me that's what we're going to get here. But I'll unpack this just a little bit more here as we go through it. Is these rising moving averages, not only they're rising, they've got very big trend levels attached to them. And I can tell you folks, there are folks that probably on this broadcast, we started doing weekly shows back in 2014 was the first time I did any. We used to have a closed channel on a thing called Ustream, and it was just for our customers. And this magic little line here, this green line, the 40-month moving average, has been the going all the way back here to 2013, 14 when we started it. That has been the primary demand line. Last January when we spiked under that, we never caused the moving averages to get negative. That spike was so quick, that rebound was so quick. But if I want you to see something, that we got this big spike here in March. The next bar was an inside bar. Next bar followed through in the opposite direction of the outside bar. So what we could see here is a similar situation. If we get the inside bar, we could trade down into these moving averages, which would tell us we're going to minimum of 3125, possibility of going back to 3,000. So as we go through these big months, where we at here? We're trading 3,300 on the S&P. So 3,301 is going to be a flip point. I was actually got a little trade on a little bit ago. So you know, I wish there was a way to put some of this stuff out. I put some triple Qs on, and I haven't even looked to see how they're doing a little while ago. I know they should be doing fairly good here. They are actually. Yeah, so not great, but decent position. Oh. But all of these patterns that we're seeing here are setting up a consolidation with the underlying PPM still 0.95 positive, 0.77 on PPM 2 and 3. We're even at trend level on PPM 1, which is tracking the 10-month moving average. So that's going to be this is a huge support zone. So whoever asked the question was a good one and a valid one. Is you know, is why not a collapse? This is why there's not going. It's going to feel like a collapse. Here we are at 3301 coming back here. So we're trying to rally back here 02, 03. So we're coming back here pretty strong. So I suspect this last half hour we could see a pretty nice recovery. Yeah, 05, 06 here on the cash. So we'll go to the futures here in a minute. But the bottom line is these patterns are unfolding, are substantial, but we still have an absolute underlying secular, I'm going to say it out loud, folks, secular bull market. This thing never failed. Now here, you know, so we'll see how this all plays out over the next several months. You know, I have I'm a very consistent guy. I know a lot of folks are always thanking me for showing up doing videos every night. I do this for you folks and for our clients and people that really support us, our customers and all that stuff, and we appreciate the whole community. But that's exactly what's going on here. So yeah, I use that the B word, bull market. So I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there pounding on their chest, claiming that you know, the beginning of the end. We could see a lot more weakness, so don't get me wrong. There's a lot going on. Yeah, Mr. Wright, I'm hearing you, man. That's all I can say. It's too funny. All right. Go down the spectrum a little bit. Yeah, we checked out the weekly. Weeklies are rolling over. There's going to be support right at this 21-week moving average. 21-week moving average 32.98. Last trade 34.04. It with a it's still got an upslope to it. It's lost a lot of its energy. I talk about that angle of attack. The angle of attack is pretty weak. So it is definitely vulnerable, but there's enough here to hold it, and the market's not going to want to close on Friday below this 30, what did I say, it was 32.98. They're going to want to hold above that. So yeah, I did some light buying before I went into this other meeting. But yeah, you know, you got to be very careful here. There's still potential, but I think this 21 is going to hold, and that's going to be definitely the 21-week moving average is going to be a good pivot point. Not that important today that we stay above it. We're back at 01, so we'll see if we can get further bounce from this at all. What time we got? 35. Take a quick glance over at the futures. We saw a decent rally there. We're pulling back just a little bit. 32.92. It's interesting, they were basically 100 points lower than where we were talking the other day at the 33.92 pivot level. And I'll be able to set up quite a bit of stuff once we get through today's action to take a look at you know, what's going on as far as some of this momentum switch that's occurring right now and how far it's likely to carry us. It's always very difficult to be in the middle of this stuff and go from there. So yeah, like I said, we'll hang out. This is the plan for today. The plan for today is going to be talk about markets. I'm going to bring up the NASDAQ here when I go back off screen, and we'll do that stuff, and then we'll go through all of the we'll go through stocks. We'll look at all this stuff because I think there's a theme that you'll see today, and I think the theme will be that a lot of these markets, the FANGs and a lot of these big stocks that are out there, they're all going to seek out their 21 period moving average. And there's, you know, so we'll go through that. I think there's a theme building there. And then we'll also go through probably what I'll do after the close. We'll kick off with Bitcoin since I featured it last night, talk about what's going on there. And, you know, I already saw the screaming on the chat line, you know, 18 months to 100,000, you know. I do think there's something really big going on with Bitcoin in general, and now they have an Ether symbol. That's awesome. Thank you as far as that goes. That will be yeah. who knows, Charlie, next year, man, we're just trying to get through next week right now, right? Um, I don't know if you guys saw, but the LA police are already trying to get postured for unrest. They're shutting down all the shops on Rodeo Drive and all kind. They're shutting the street down. You know, I'm an old dude, man. It's hard for me to see America like this. It really is. It really is. So here we are selling off pretty hard right now, all the way back to 92. So we sold 10 handles off. So we're just a lot of volatility as we come into this last half hour. Yeah, I can tell you, I miss my dad a lot. He's been gone a long time. He couldn't handle it today, man. He's a World War II vet. Man, I don't know what he would think about what we're all looking at. It's pretty crazy. I think yesterday in the meeting, I think Jay Kendall, you were talking about some of all the stuff people have to have that portfolio. Why don't you throw some of those symbols on the timeline for me, or you can actually send them to me on Skype as well if you want. Why don't you do it on Skype? Anyway, yeah. So decent little sell-off back to 91. We printed 3305, 14 handles. So there's plenty of pressure coming in here. And this will probably be interesting just to hang out and watch some of those things. Yeah, folks are asking how to get more involved in their work. You know, I've got a lot going on right now. I would love to do, you know, I know a lot of folks have master classes and stuff out there. It would be fun to do. I just can't find the time. I'll be really honest with you. I've restructured everything that I do every day. If you're watching my daily videos, you know, we're pretty much hitting the mark, getting them out around 11:30 Pacific time. That's going to change a little bit if I keep my same habits because we're in Arizona and we don't change our clocks, and in just a few days you folks are changing your clocks and we're not. So we'll only be actually somebody's Skype in 2020. I love Skype. Okay, we do a lot on Skype. I hate Microsoft, but I love Skype. Anyway, yeah, you're probably right, Richard. This is a master class. I do a lot of teaching on these things. It would probably be good when I got into these teaching moments if we could rip all this stuff out. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it. See, Skype works in 2020. You know, I use WhatsApp and some other stuff. You know, so. And we're going to set up next week. The plan is between now and next week, where we at on the markets here, is we're going to be able to set up where we're going to do probably a half hour or so on these live streams. We're going to do a call in, and we're setting up some servers and stuff so that you can call and do some things. That'll be fun to do as well. So I'm anxious to do that. Hopefully we can screen out the trolls or getting any weird people from doing anything strange. But it would be nice. I'd love to hear, because a lot of you folks I see all the time, and you know, that would be real. That would be cool. Yeah, you know, I've been kicking around. I'm gonna throw, while we're just letting this market trade here for a minute. Been kicking around doing like a Saturday morning meetup, because I work 7 days a week. I don't take off. I would say vacations are for wimps, just like dividend stocks. But be kind of interesting to be offline. I'm kicking around doing some stuff. We did one for Wave Tech, I don't know, probably 4 months ago. It was awesome. We hung out for a couple hours on a Saturday, and we were chatting it up. It was just on Zoom. It wasn't on YouTube. So I'm working on a couple platforms that would be nice. I really someone's asking about how to support the channel. The best way is the Wave Tech platform is the best way to support the channel. You know, you can get up and do all that stuff, and you can sign up. This is, you know, that's probably the best way. You know, it's $3 a day, basically. I think $3.12 a day, something like that, and plus you get a lot of value for doing it. You know, you get 16,500 symbol buy sell signals, short term, intermediate. You get the market grid for about 160 symbols, and we're working on a whole new platform on that right now. And there'll be a lot more. There's also the stock screens, fundamentals, all kinds of stuff for $3 a day. I mean, come on. I mean, you guys should all sign up right now. This very moment, sign up. It's worth it. And plus we do the training every week, and you get a lot more one time. Jay is working on doing a lot of that training, so that'll be good. Yeah, aren't you right, Gregory? Berkshire is my favorite stock. Not wonder how. So okay, so here we are, trading way down at 91. So that 3201 number is a little elusive. We got about 15 minutes to go, so we'll see how this thing plays out. I don't have any real feelings at the moment whether we close above 3,300 or not today. I don't think it really matters. When we go back and we look at this chart here, and we go to the daily, the gap that we got today, that was pretty significant. We're likely to see a little follow through tomorrow on the downside, a little follow through, and possibly then we could get a reversal. We're going to see lots of volatility, and it's not going to be all one-sided. It's interesting, I think, if you folks probably agree with me, is that we're not. Where's the vaccine hype at? Where'd those guys go? You know, all you hear, the only guys that are getting the play with the algos are the other side, the cases, and they're growing, and hospitals are filling up again, which is maybe not so true, maybe in some places, but I can tell you nobody in Arizona gives a shit. If I could take this camera and walk out the door and you could see the highway that's behind there, you would see what's going on here. But we'll see, Yeah, and I agree, Benny. Both stimulus. Remember the stimulus deal? Remember that? That has as much to do with what you're seeing on the screen as anything. And these folks thought they could fool everybody, and you can blame whoever you want to blame. It just was never going to happen. There was no sincerity on either side. Maybe there was, but I think that there's not a chance in hell they'd give it. I can tell you there's a lot of folks that don't like Trump or are happy about what's going on the screen right now, thinking this might affect voters for him. So I know there's a lot of stuff. It was kind of sick when people were celebrating the guy getting COVID. So anyway, let's see here what's going on in the line here. We've got 13 minutes to go. We'll do the same plan as always. We'll get super focused in on level 2 as we come in to close. About 6 minutes, maybe 5-6 minutes to go. We'll talk that up. We'll do the couple minutes afterwards, see if we get any short covering to come out of this. So we're trying to rally, not really rallying back. This thing is still selling off here. We're now down at at 85 on the SPX. So 12 minutes. Yeah, 12 minutes to go. So that's pretty much where we are. Yeah, we'll look at all the individual stocks and stuff here shortly. Yeah, I am going to cover Bitcoin for a little bit. I've been a trader on Bitcoin. You know, I think it's an exciting market. Yeah, but we'll go through all this stuff here in a minute. So maybe let's go over and take a look at level 2. Let's just start to focus in on that. We're getting close enough to that's going to be material. Oops. So yeah, so we're still drifting lower. We're printing 76 now. Definitely some selling coming into the close. 11 minutes to go. Let me get off screen. We'll just go full screen here. Yeah, we're not far. The lows of the day on is 70, so we're only 7 handles off the low of the session now. So definitely some heavy selling coming into close. It looked like we were going to get that bounce, and it's went away at the moment. We'll see if it comes back, but there's still, as we look at this level 2 chart here, what we're seeing is, I haven't taught you folks a lot about these linear regression lines, but we're in a rope, which tells us we're probably going to make a new low. Here we are, 73. They're going to try to print new lows here. They're not going to let it get away without printing a new low for sure. And if they fail to make the new low coming in, we got 10 minutes to go, then that could set up the short covering. We'll see. Looks to me they're going to be able to print a new low here. Here we are, 2 ticks, getting close. We're still on a rope, still on a downtrend on a 1 minute. We're still in the resistance bands. These lines that you see over on the chart over here, we're not really getting any crossovers or anything in there. We'll see. It's trying. It's gonna have to trade over 74.50 to get that to happen. I think I can't imagine the algos are gonna let this thing get away. They could run these lows. A bunch of people bought down here, and they're gonna want to see if they can run them. Yeah, so I've said this before. We have to do it on some day when it's not going on. But these linear regression lines, they're not proprietary at all. I could actually show you folks. I have no problem with putting that stuff out. I probably need to do that. They're really handy for all levels of charts and analysis. It's probably one of the best pattern recognition tools I've ever seen, and it came out of me trying to solve something else way back in, I think, trying to remember what year it was when I went to the trading floor back again, 91, I guess, Pacific Options Exchange. That was probably it. So yeah, we're starting to get crossovers, so we may not get the low here. Still not out of the woods yet. The pivot number right now is 78.50. So we're trading below. We're starting to see a little bit of a rally as we come into 7 minutes to go. Yeah, I would say, Borg's, like, I'm looking at your comment. My approach is to drink and not trade, always successful outcome then. Yeah, I wouldn't drink and trade. Yeah, so if no low, what happens tomorrow? We'll look at this once we get to close. I'm going to spend another hour at least. I've been going for, I actually started before we normally start. Yeah. Yeah, I saw your comment there, Garden Chick. Yeah, I would, I'm very careful about talking about some of these things. Um, Good chance half of you don't agree with me, half of you do. I don't want to alienate anybody from that standpoint, but there are some things that are going on. The systematic fear mongering is certainly one of them. It's even hard to tell what's what anymore, right? the old story of is it Memorex? Here we go. We're going to try the lows again. Like I said, the algos, they can taste this money under here. Watch this. Here we are, 2 ticks. There they are, new lows. They're fishing. They got it. 68 handle. We still have the rope forming. What you see is these linear regression lines are very tight together. I just nicknamed them the rope. And if I take off the, if I can do this or not. Not an easy way to do it. Yeah, so we trade 65 here, 64. Yeah, they had to get these. So we're down 3.5%, still selling. We're 5 minutes out, heavy selling coming in now. No signs of a bottom from the webs. 63.75 prints. 3.5 minutes to go. So heavy selling into the close. Nobody wants to be in. Sorry for the sirens. So we printed 62 low. Right at 2 minutes to go. When this thing closes up, we'll take a look at some of the support numbers, like I said. But here we are. They're not done. They're still printing lows here. Just did a 61.75. Yeah, 2.5 minutes to go. So we're in that final range. 61 print. Final under 2 minutes now, so we're in that range. We'll see if we can get any short covering. So much for closing over 3,300. We printed up to 30, I think it was 3305, maybe 6, and we get a 30 handle sell off into new lows on the session. So definitely feeling pretty emotional here from the way markets are trading. We're getting crossovers on the webs now. So that was probably it. Just about ready to enter the final minute. So what we're going to be looking for here is if we're getting any cover-ups, anybody's covering up. Yeah, we'll take a look at the cryptos. I think, yeah, there's some good stuff going on there, man. They're letting people in, which is always nice. Yeah, Benny, I already updated that bounce into the close thing like 10 minutes ago. There was certain numbers you needed to hold. They didn't. And we're not getting anything here. So heavy selling came in, you know. Here we are, new lows again, right into the close. Final few ticks, new lows. That is the party right there. So rallied about 5-6 handles. Let's see if we can get any short covering here. Could be an interesting next couple minutes. And we'll kind of keep an eye on them till the futures close quarter after. Yeah, we're going to, don't do it yet. But in a few minutes, we're going to look at the close. Yeah, so we got about 8 handles. We'll see how this thing settles in. Like I said, that last 2 minutes, so we're still got a ways to go yet. Jeffrey, what are you, let's see, who is it? Yeah, Christoph, you talking about Bitcoin Kendall? Yeah, I don't actually know what oversold, overbought is. So people always, you know, will the market bounce tomorrow? We'll have to see. I'm like you guys know this about me, is that when you have days like this, you can never make good decisions. You got to let this thing close. You got to walk away from it. And I think today's definitely, for those of you that know what an In-N-Out burger is, that's an In-N-Out burger kind of day. Need some comfort food. Yeah, you know, I'm not sure, you know, like I said, I've been kind of out of touch. I had to participate in another presentation here for most of my morning. It took me out of the game, which was pretty frustrating. But yeah, will we get a bounce here? We should, but what we're going to do here as soon as we're there, let's go ahead and start looking at a couple things, and then don't give them to me yet. But what we'll do is we'll actually take a look at some of the metrics here. Pretty ugly close, to say the least. Here's the SPX. Still getting the final runoff closes. We're at 71.25, low 68. definitely a very big day. Definitely also completing. Let's see if we can calculate where this C wave should finish. Actually, that might be something interesting to do. And then in just a minute, we'll go through and see exactly what will happen on as far as any possible recoveries. All right. Let's go ahead and do this. And I'm already putting down Apple, Tesla, Amazon, but let's get some stocks out here now. And then I'll make a list. We'll just start covering this stuff from here. Yeah, and Borg's like, I agree. I don't know how people will respond to another lockdown. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that looks like. You know, I don't know if how far you can push this thing. I really don't. All right. All right, just writing down some of these stocks, folks. Yeah, we got a lot of folks hanging out, over 1,000 right now. So we're going to go through all these individual stocks, try to go through a fair amount. I'm going to spend 1 hour doing this, and I'm going to be fairly hardcore about quitting today. And I will just put this out there. If things stay batshit crazy for the next couple of days, I will light the screens up. I made that commitment to all of our clients, institutional, retail. Now that we are addressing retail, you know, we actually have clients in 14 countries now, which is kind of cool. Thank you, folks. Really appreciate it. We've got an international group, and you can go just around the planet. So very cool. Yeah, it's funny, Christoph. I can be where you're wanting to. Jane, I can be there in about 3 hours, 2.5 in a car. um, let's see here. Wow, Calvin. Thanks for staying up, man. That's very cool. All right. Actually, like Caney, he's got some interesting ideas. Very real guy. Um, yeah, status of portfolio expert. Looking at it, probably being released tomorrow. That's my plan. And I've just got to, this week has been a really crazy week. Okay, let's start digging into some of these stocks. I'm going to put market grid back up so we can go from there. And we'll start with Tesla. I heard somebody said Tesla first. Tesla wins. I'm going to go to a weekly chart. I'm going to go off screen so we can go full screen here. But let's go to the weekly. And we are well under the 10-week moving average now. PPM1 is rolled over. This is the same scenario that we were looking at on the S&P, and I never touched on the NASDAQ, so I'm going to flop just for a minute to the NASDAQ here and after we do Tesla, just to get that perspective since we're talking about that. So looking at the weekly grid here, the low so far for this week is 406, S2 403.65, S3 94, STX 386. I think we're going to see Tesla price meet the 21-week moving average, just like what we saw in the S&P today, but it's lagging. It is going up at about $11 per week. So that's 355 and then 365. And it looks to me that we will head toward those levels. And we're going to see this thing stay under pressure. This pattern that we're in, we're seeing somewhat of a dangerous pattern on Tesla in that we're seeing this, what I call a volatility collapse, where the market grid just gets down really narrow. And when it does that, that typically will signal that prices want to go lower. So I'm thinking, 365, we'll just do a range 375 to 365 on Tesla. That's going to be the bottom end of the range. As far as looking for like some sharp reversal rally from there, these markets are all in trouble from the standpoint on a trend level. And yeah, it is a dragon head. Good call. And this is not a necessarily positive pattern by any means, and we should see it seek out that 21-week moving average. And it's possible, and I've been talking about this for a while here, and as we go, is that this pattern that we're seeing, the election is not going to happen next week and someone's going to flip a switch, it's going to go up or down. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Looks like momentum is rolling to the point where we're going to see continued downward pressure. Maybe like I mentioned, looking at the indexes viewpoint down into, the 200-day, 200-week moving averages. As far as stocks like Tesla goes, we're going to go to Apple next and look at some of the things. These stocks are all rolling over, moving toward their support ranges and their support zones. We'll probably see going to a really long-term chart. There's not going to be that much, to look at, but we're seeing this is something, and I brought this up last week. We did the live stream. Is in the month of August, we got an RTX sell signal. Otherwise, we closed above the extreme for the month in August, signaling at least 2, maybe 3 months of sideways to down. And we closed that month at 498. Month of September, we closed at 429. And we are 2 days off from a close this month, and we're 406. Looks like I said, maybe a 375, 365 range as far as this goes, as far as Tesla goes. So definitely more downside. All the markets are looking reasonably weak. When really I'm just kind of glancing over at the S&P futures. They're really not bouncing much. They're trading 69.70. They're a little bit off the low. We did print, I think, 61. So we're about 8 handles off the lows right now. And we're 2 minutes from the initial futures close before the reopen. And then they reopen and then they're going to close again. And then that'll set the for the evening session then. So so let's take a real quick look at, I just want to go in, this goes to the same pattern that is on the S&P, is the same pattern that's on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ has just a slightly different profile. NASDAQ is still very bullish on a longer term basis. This is looking at a monthly graph, so I'm going to segue to the NASDAQ just for a minute because we need that context to cover some of these stocks that I'm going to be looking at. So right now, NASDAQ S1 11,084, low 11,123. So we're pretty close to an S1 monthly. On the upside, 12,249. We're traded between, on a monthly basis for the month of October, we traded 12,000, or we traded basically an R between R2 and R3. So we hit kind of into the matrix. So the matrix is the market grid on daily, weekly, and monthly basis. We start to look at some of these broader numbers. Sometimes we have to do that to have a full context of what's going on these on the models. But here's the thing, as we look at the PPMs down below, let me get off screen so we can see this cleanly. We look at the PPMs, they've all rolled over. They're heading toward their first segment derivatives. PPM1 is still up a 2.53. This is an insane trend level, but the support right now is at, on a monthly basis, is 99.31. But that's going, this is interesting. So on a monthly basis, I'm going to actually put pen and paper together. So on last month, we were at 96.86. This month, the 10-month is, I'll get this right. Hang on one second. 96.86. And this month, we're at 99.31. And PPM slowed down a little bit, but the rate of change suggests that we're going to be one second. That we're going to be around 10,200 as we come in to the month of November. So we're likely to see further downside, just like with the S&P. We're looking at move down toward the 40-month moving average. I'm sorry, the 10-month moving average, 40-week moving average as we convert over. All right. Let's take a look at some of these other stocks. Let's go, we'll try to run, I'll try to run through these pretty quick, but I just wanted that perspective. We didn't quite get to the 21 period moving average, 10,974 on the NASDAQ. But so let's go ahead and take, let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon's heading for its 3,078 is most likely the target. That's rising. I still don't see like a major bounce or rally off of this level. We're going to see these markets stay under pressure, like I've been saying. I'm thinking that you know, and that something like that will happen. Um, and somebody was saying, hoping Tesla goes to 330, it could. Those are just current support numbers. There's certainly no, while there's an intermediate and longer term uptrends on some of these stocks like Amazon here, these are in monster consolidation ranges. And this is the sideways pattern I'm talking about, you know, when the market goes down for 2 days or something, you know, this is part of the pattern that I've been talking about here, is that we've got this very broad band of movement, and that's been happening in all the indexes since we printed the last high, whether it's the S&P, NASDAQ, Amazon, you name it, it's all out there. We'll look at Alphabet real quick. We actually hit the 21 period moving average on Alphabet. Only issue here is it's up 0.22, which does supply some support, but it looks very possible that Alphabet could end up at around the 1420 level, maybe 1450 level on the downside. We're seeing all the PPMs roll over, everything's rolling over on a weekly basis. The short term can't look very good here. Yeah, just like with a lot of these charts, we gap below the STX, and I talked about this some. There's no real rule on if we go and close below STX that the market goes up, but I'm looking here on this particular chart. It does look like a lot of times this is a climactic type situation. So well, this stock is, like I said, the weekly analysis is probably the most accurate. We could see a couple of days sideways here. Maybe we'll see some stability, and hopefully by going through these charts here for the next half hour or so, we'll start to pick up a theme of what's going on here with some of these major stocks. Peloton, 21 period moving average. I told you there was going to be a theme here on this stuff, and that's exactly what's going on here. Is the 21 period moving average up 0.86, major support 120.97, today's low 119.56, so we basically penetrated but maintained it. Thought we may be able to get that kind of maintenance on the S&P, but that was, I think, 3301 or 3298 was that number, and we closed well under that today. But the patterns that are setting up here are pretty typical of what we're going to see on a lot of these stocks in the movers that have been going on. Let's keep going down the list here. We'll do NEO. NEO got an RXT sell yesterday, closed above the extreme. They have a sell 2-3 days sideways here. The market, this stock will be locked between its 2460, 2765 is going to be the extreme trading range, and the grid suggests this is actually the grid for tomorrow, actually, that's on the screen. So make note of that if you're not a subscriber. This I believe this stock is in the market grid list, and so there's your potential there. We went out at 2739, S1 2704, S2 2652, but this stock is definitely trying to peak out. We go to the weekly. You know, I talk about this a lot. Back on 710, we got an RXT sell. We went 2 weeks, basically 3 weeks sideways, then we retrended. We got an RXT sell on 1016, the week of 1016. Now this is second. We're getting somewhat of a reversal, but we're down from where we closed. We were at 2848 last week, 2716 right now 27.51. So we're up a little bit, but we're basically in that sideways running. And yeah, and Jeffrey Harden, absolutely. I talked a lot about that in the live stream I did on Monday about how the Dow and the bonds are connected at the hips right now, but definitely the Dow rising is definitely due to the foreign buying of bonds for sure. And that has everything to do with some of the things I've seen on the chat here is the thing. Yeah, we did, Big Dog Brown, I did forget to do the S&P calculation pattern. So I will go back to that a little bit in mad scientist mode, trying to go through a lot of stocks and do some things. It's been a long day for me. I know I've only been with you folks for an hour and a half, but this started about an hour before I normally come on with you folks. So I've been on a run here. All right. So there's Neo. Yeah, let's see if we can come up with a calculation on the S&P. I'm going to write this down. I'm actually going to do this. This could be a feature part of the video tonight, possibly. But one of the things it's a really strange. We didn't get much of a retracement. But if we start to tag the high here, we had a high of 35.41. I'll draw this out on the screen. I'm just going to pull the numbers so I can start calculation. The low of this, what I was calling the B wave, so we got the A wave down was 34.18, and then we had this little wimpy high that got up here at 34.62, very shallow. And we're going to see if we can make any sense out of this from an Elliott viewpoint. And then we can start to figure out where this projection is. So I will draw this on screen and we'll talk about the numbers. But I did say I wanted to do that, so thanks for recentering me. So what we're talking about here is we got this A wave up, which was a move from 34.18 to 35.41. Here's the A down, and then we get the B up. And then what we're expecting here is that there's going to be some sort of symmetry between these levels right here. So we're going to look at this leg down here, 35.41 to 18. And then this high where I just put an arrow is going to be 34.62. And we'll talk about a couple things where A equals C. And then we'll also look at A equals 0.618 of the length of C, and A equals 0.382 the length of C. And then we'll explore the extremes where and I've got this backwards, folks. I'm going to restate what I just said. So C equals the length of A. So A and C would be equal, so that's right. But then the C wave down would only be 0.618 the length of what the length of wave A is. I'll get these calculations here in a minute. Just got to, and then the last one be a 0.618 relationship, or otherwise the C leg down would not be as long as the A wave. And let me do the numbers here real quick. So we're subtracting 34.18 from 35.41, which is top of A, getting the length of wave A. Going to be 123. And then the top I stated of the B wave up here, right here, was 34.62. minus 123. $33.39. So we're going to be not looking at the 0.61 of anything. So A and C are equal at 33.39. So we went through that. So now we got to explore the length of, that is 1.382. I said 0.382, but so now we're going to take that 123 number times that times take 123 times 1.382. Going to give us a length of 169. Let's round it to 170. And then we're going to take that 123 times 1.618. And we're going to get 200 handles, which would be 190 or 199. So let's, from the top of that B then, we're going to take 34, I wish I could write this stuff on the screen so you could see this. 3462 minus 170, 3292, keep that number. I'll draw it on the screen here in a minute. And then the last number, 3462 minus 199. 3263. All right. So just looking at this range, the low that we had today is, let me clear this out, make sure I have the right numbers on the screen, and we'll redraw this in. So the low that we had today is 3260. So interesting stat is that the length of wave C right now is nearly exactly at 1.618 times the length of A. That number was 3263. The low was 3260. So we basically have satisfied that. Now there could be a further extension where we get into the next level, but there's a good chance here that we may have printed a significant low from that viewpoint. The thing that is going to keep us from rallying right now are, as we look at the PPMs on this chart. So we went to stocks. I promised I would do that. So that is, I'm just making, I wish I could, I'm going to find a way, folks, to get a nice, something that I can draw and write this stuff on screen so I can share these calcs with you when I do it. But, you know, that's definitely a way to do it. So when do you use daily, weekly market grids? Every day. The market grids are important to understand the context. So these are all going to update here shortly. And I'm not sure, the futures have, they just reopened again. So we're not really, let me see something here. Yeah, so futures have printed down to 60, 75. We're now 73, so we're 13 handles off the lows right now. So we are seeing a little bit of bounce. We'd have to put it into the dead cat category at the moment, but we're definitely seeing some rebounding on this thing from that viewpoint anyway. So let's go back to a couple more stocks. I want to get back, but hopefully that calculation, I will do that calculation on tonight's video. And I just make some notes. Yeah, that's a great line, Benny. The symbol has 5 letters. I'm scared of it. You should be. All right. Let's look at a couple more stocks. I got down that trail pretty good. Let's look at DraftKings. Man, that thing, talk about a rollover, huh? I've got to put something up here just for fun. I just want to see if we got a short signal in this thing. Let's turn on the shorts. Yeah, so got a sell signal at 51 bucks on this thing. And here we are at 38. So this thing's done a complete round turn from maybe I guess the belief is now they're going to close down all the games again, right? If we get to start to roll over to the next level as far as the COVID goes, but we're getting pretty close to probably a bottoming pattern, moving at least down to 200-day moving average, you know. But yeah, that was certainly a nice little 5-wave top, and yeah, so we did get a sell signal. I was just curious about that one. So that's interesting. As far as where it goes from here, let's look at the weekly. I suspect that will probably tell us not a lot. Well, we do have, we're down into the grid here at 37.12 low, so S2 38.12, maybe 35.67, maybe there'll be a low. But I don't think I'd make a bet on that, pun intended. Okay, let's keep working through some more symbols. Yeah, so I'm doing HYLN, and this is weekly. Yeah, that's a crazy one. Yeah, right back to 200-day. It looks like a lot of these stocks that have done round turns, complete round turns, and you know, this would have been a really good one to follow last week, or to talk about it on the last live stream, because we would have been able to probably figure out at least part of this decline. But you can see how the moving averages have all crossed over. 10, 21, 40 all down. PPMs are down big numbers, minus 3.74, 5.6, 1.85. So that's just looking at the line here. Virgin Galactic. I guess this is, yeah, so we've just sliced through everything here. Let's go to weekly. This one's a tough one. I remember covering this a while back. And yeah, so last week reversal, we closed lower. Should get another 2 weeks down on this one. Yeah, we didn't do Apple. I'll do that next. Apple, like all the others, we're heading toward a hit on the 21, 106.92. I'll help them out when they get the iPhone 12 Plus Pro or Pro Plus. I've actually put an order in for one, so we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, Apple, that split on Apple that happened was a major event, and they've loaded that stock up. And at some stage, you know, I think Apple has made a lot of mistakes, and I know that Macintosh is not that big a number. It's all about iPhone and some other things, some of their other devices. But there's definitely some things going on with Apple that they're starting to alienate a lot of their users in a lot of ways. It's going to be interesting. See what happens. To see if there's anybody that can come in and step in. Probably not right away. Yeah. So all right. So that's Apple Weekly, Apple Daily. So look for 21. If we look at Apple Daily, we broke through all the numbers on everything. We're probably going to come down and test that. Those September lows are going to be in play across the board at a lot of places. So watch out, and we're probably going to be the next point for us to have to watch out is there. So let's do Bitcoin. We need to do that. And somebody gave me the symbol of Ether, and I completely how funny is that? I hope they're still out there. Could you give me that symbol on Ether? I have literally lost that thing. Let me just look. No, I found it. I found it. I am a mad scientist. I used to tell people, everybody that's ever worked for me, assistants and everything, said if you don't put a piece of paper on my desk, if you ever want to see it again. And it's true. Things just disappear right in front of me. All right, so let's see. Let's go through Bitcoin first. Bitcoin, big day. I mentioned in last night's video, yes, I did. The thumbnail did say Bitcoin 23,000. That wasn't for today. But what I said is we got a RTX sell signal yesterday. We closed above it. We should see 2 to 3 days down. We definitely got that. Today was also a reversal day. But what we have here is something to pay attention to. So whether you're a hoarder or a trader, that's up to you. But what you're looking at is a 12,724 is your magic mark. So if we did drop another 300 or 400, that's a screaming buy. That number is going to go up. I think this chart we're looking at actually updates midnight Eastern time is when it rolls over the bars. And that's another issue, by the way, in trying to trade cryptos. That rollover point and where it's being calculated is really important. And it changes the charts a lot. And that's always been the big dilemma. What is the right market? So maybe you folks have some ideas on that are following this. You know, where's the right time to cut this thing? Say this was the close for today. Is it midnight New York time? Midnight Hong Kong? Is it GMT time? What is that number? So if you folks have any ideas, I don't follow the crypto community that well, but somebody must have that number because it makes a difference if you're trying to do technical. Now this one I'm looking at is a 12 midnight on that. So let me just see here and see if this will come up. So yeah, so let's look at the weekly. Also mentioned this last night, we got a weekly RXT sell signal. So we should have about 2 weeks sideways. We should come back into the grid here, which would be into these numbers I just discussed, somewhere around 10,900, maybe 10,800, 750 level. In that range is going to be the bottom end of this pattern. PPMs are still really positive, up 0.138, 0.58, all that stuff. Now let me show you where I came up with the crazy numbers. I had them on the video last night, but let's bring this up here. you'll see some dots above the chart here now. And what those are going to show you are the Fibonacci projections of this pattern that we're in. And their minimum is 18,423. The maximum is 23,000, 21,000. And that would go back, if we do a monthly chart, we go back the spike high that we got. It's sort of interesting. I'm looking at, this is going back to 2017, December of 2017. We actually got an RXT sell. We printed on this chart 19,707. And I can tell you, I was watching it with an associate. We were watching it trade, and this thing spiked up, and it was running into that high. And I watched it print 19.7, and then it just dropped like 700-800 handles. I go, man, that's it. I put an order to sell it and got like 18,780 on that, on the sell signal on that thing. I mean, it was just, I just blessed. I saw that price hit and said, get out. And that was, I go, that was the top. That was the blow off top. And we've drifted down. We've seen this high that I talked about back in June of 19, and that sets up the bigger pattern. Now we're starting to see this pattern begin a breakout, and if you just do a swing trade projection, you're well into these new highs. Now the calculation I was just showing you on the weekly chart is actually coming off a different pattern, and so the potential is even bigger than what is I guess the projection is even higher than what the 23,000 actually suggests. Okay, let's see if we can get Ether up. Incorrect symbol. Let me try one more thing. Got it. Okay. So I haven't looked at this one for a while. The only thing I've looked at is on Coinbase. I've looked at that. Yeah, nothing really exciting here on Ether. I don't see it anyway. Much different pattern. We're remaining underneath, and I think Bitcoin's getting all the love right now. There's not PPMs aren't suggesting there's any kind of rally or anything going on here. I wouldn't be too excited about this pattern at all. Definitely like Bitcoin over this. We go to weekly. Yeah, so that's okay. So Ethereum, do we know? Okay, thank you. So I don't know what comes up on this platform, but let's try it. Okay, we got ETH. This is Ethan Allen. So that's not going to work. Let's try $. Nope. Yeah, so I don't know if this platform has it. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, folks. If I can get some good symbols for this platform, then I can go through it with you. All right, I'm getting some symbols here. Hang on. See if this one works. Try one more time. All right, we got it. We got it here. Thank you. Yeah, I can get it on Coinbase, but I can't run PPMs on Coinbase. So it's not very... So anyway, yeah, this... Very good. Okay, so now we've got some good stuff going. PPMs aren't as positive, don't look as good. This pattern's bullish though. We still have some work to do here, but we do have some upward projections that are coming into play for Ether, for it to go upward target 711, 864, 958. So those are pretty impressive numbers. Yeah, you can use Coinbase. One of my most disappointing trades was on Litecoin many years ago. I think I bought it at 27, and I had an order to sell it at 245. Got missed by pennies. Yeah, we've done all kinds of stuff trying to get cryptos in WaveTech. We do have some stuff in there, but the data is not getting updated every day. It's been very frustrating. Okay, just looking, reading through the line here. We're about 10 minutes out, and I'm now. I mean, if I need to make note of these symbols here. In fact, I'm going to put this on my list over here. And I will save this page, so I will have these next time I need them. All right, let's do, yeah, we did not do gold. Good call. Gold just got hammered. I really thought we were going to see this 21 hold, but they liquidated everything today. They were raising money everywhere they could find. There's no doubt. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I can get, I'm going to try LTC USD, see if that comes up. Yeah, it actually did. So that's going to be the symbol there. This is Litecoin. So it looks like you just put LTC USD, and that will give us the symbol. So I have these stored now. Excellent. Back to gold. Gold is interesting. We actually traded down to into the grid pretty heavily on the weekly. I thought we would hold the 21 period moving average as 1881. and we traded today, that 1896, excuse me, and the low was 1869. And question is this thing rolling over really big? We've got a mixed view. The next target range would be down at the 1800 level at the 40 period moving average. For this week, we're probably printed this thing out pretty good. S3 1865, STX 1853. So that's that looks like that's pretty much it. Okay, folks, I think we're going to wind it down. Yeah, so I'm good for the pros. I don't have, we have no positions in gold right now, so I don't have any feeling about it one way or the other. So, yeah, maybe so. I don't like any of that November, December seasonal stuff. It's garbage. I wouldn't make any trades on that. Anyway, yeah, so see, I think that's going to be it, folks. I'm thinking hamburgers right now. I really am. It's been a very long day for me. Unfortunately, I got started. I would have rather, no, I wouldn't say I would rather, but I would have liked to have been here when the market was trading earlier. But I'm definitely running on batteries getting low here. So thanks for watching. Like I said, if we get anything out of hand in the next couple of days, I'll definitely light up the screen. I'll come back on. We'll talk markets. We'll do all that stuff. But I appreciate everybody, watching everything. There will be a video tonight. Plenty to cover tonight. Once the dust settles and we can take a look at this stuff. Where's the last little shot? 74 on the S&P futures, so we're up about 14 handles now off of the lows. So we're definitely seeing it. So anyway, folks, thank you so much for watching. Remember, support the channel. You can do this. You can go to this place and sign up for WaveTech. That's the best way. Or you can super chat. We didn't have any of those today. And yeah. So that will do it, folks. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you on tonight's video.